In this video, we replace everything that was broken during the break-in, the dash bezel, we replace the gauges, and we figure out all the wiring. And then we replace the handle for the tailgate that was broken. So thank you for watching and stay tuned. Okay, time to fix the rest of the damage to the truck from the break-in. The geniuses that broke in, this whole dash right here is just on some clips. But they broke it right there, broke a piece off here, just to get a 12-year-old radio, pretty much. So, what I had right here, these wires, this is not them trying to hotwire it. These wires are from a gauge pod from Autometer that I had for the oil temperature gauge. See, I took apart the dash before, and I put in this Autometer gauge where the transmission temperature gauge normally is on the stock one. I just kind of drilled a hole in the gauge cluster and made it work. It actually looks kind of cool. It turned out better than I thought it would, actually. So the parts I bought are a new dash. I found this on eBay. It's a nice used one, same color, the graphite. I found just a stock radio because I'm not doing anything crazy in this truck, just want to listen to radio sometime. So this is a stock radio, got a pretty good deal on it. And this is the gauge pod that goes on the steering column. And then I got pretty much the same gauge. So I'll just put this all back in, wire this all back up. So this job shouldn't be too long. The only thing that I have to do is right here I have the light for my alarm comes through right there. Either I'll change it or put it somewhere else. But the radio, thankfully, they didn't cut this plug, so everything should just plug and play back in. And the new dash panel is missing one of these clips, so I'll just transfer over the clips. But pretty much that's it. It should be just a pretty quick and easy deal here. Okay, so I drilled the hole for the the alarm light, and then before I get the other one off, I cut this, and I'm using these solder heat shrink. So basically the solder melts with a heat gun and the heat shrink holds the whole wire together. So basically all I had to do was twist these together, and I got a heat gun here, so I'll fire that up and hopefully you could see it shrinking down. Usually I try to get the ends done first. You'll notice the that white part, that's like the goo that's like sealing it, making it watertight. And then when I see the solder start to flow, you could back off there or not, but see how even the white stuff is coming out the end there? A lot of times you can see the solder flow on the wires. Yeah, I can kind of see it, so I'm going to go to the blue one now. I think you're good as long as you see that solder flow. Okay, so before you try to tug on these to make sure that they're in there or anything like that, let it cool down, because that solder is still molten. So just let it cool down. Okay, so just check your connections, because the connection with this is the light will come on when the doors are closed, so I can see the light cycle. That's all the purpose of that is, kind of like a deterrent. So they do dry up pretty quick. Yeah, these are already relatively cool to the touch. So those are in there. A little bit of a tug there. Yeah, they're good to go. All right, so this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out which wires are which. So I have my voltmeter set to right here. I believe it's continuity. Basically, if these two touch, it beeps. So the gauges are pretty sensitive, so if you don't hook it to the right wire that's hooked to your sensor, you could burn out the gauge. So I have these alligator clip extensions, and then I hooked it to the tip of this broom, and basically if I touch this to there, so what that tells me is that wire right here is the wire. Hey there, that is the wire coming from that sensor. That has been a huge pain to figure out, but I got the ignition wire, and then the other two, one should be for the lights because the gauge has a light, and I believe the other one's just the ground. So let's hope I got all that right. Alright, so I got everything hooked in. I just used some extra wire that I had. I wasn't too worried about specific colors or anything like that. Because this truck is old and I'm just trying to get it back on the road. So I used that same heat shrink solder for all the connections. So just bringing you in so that you could see it. That's pretty much all it was that I had to do. The gauge pretty much sits in here with a pretty good friction fit, so I wouldn't worry too much about it falling out. It did come with a bracket, but that bracket's too big for their own housing, so kind of fun there. But all right, just gonna put it in. I will have a link in the description if you guys want to try these out. They're pretty good in a pinch. Maybe in your mobile toolbox have maybe a handful of each size, just in case you need something when you're on the road or on an adventure or something. You could use a lighter in a pinch. It does recommend a heat gun. I'm just using this cordless Dewalt. But I think that these are really, really good in a pinch. So if you're a mechanic, repairman, or if you have to maintain stuff off-grid, these are a good, quick, easy, reliable fix in my opinion. I haven't had any problems when I've put them on, so I recommend them, and there will be a link in the description. Alright, I got her all finished up now. Radio's in, looks good. They actually broke the holder that holds like this passenger airbag on and off thing. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. Might just leave it, maybe look for another holder. But see, here's the gauge pod all installed. There is the other one. See how they match pretty nice. It was kind of a pain to figure out all the wiring. You saw me do the continuity test. Playing with the ignition, with ground, trying to figure out which one's ignition, which one's for the lights, which, you know, just figuring all that out. Got it all worked out pretty good. You can see it flicker. Not sure why those hazards keep coming on. It's kind of weird. So, got all that figured out. Also, whatever this thing is around the ignition, they had knocked that off. And I pretty much just got a pipe, put it around it, and then just one good hit and it popped back on. I tried to put it on by hand, but that wasn't happening. I think you could probably use a deep socket with a mallet or a hammer to get that back on. Alright, so here's what we're doing today. We're replacing this whole mechanism. The handle broke off. I could still open it by squeezing these two together, but the handle broke off. So that's why I gotta replace this. It's actually 3 bolts. There's one here, and then there's one hiding underneath this plastic bed cover. This was here since I've owned it. No need to take it off, but it is going to be a little tricky. So gotta just loosen up these screws right here, take those out, and then I think there's another screw right there if I remember right. And then inside the dash I got this little cubby where the passenger airbag on and off switch was at. I'm never really going to turn that switch off, so this might be more, to me I was thinking this is going to be more useful, so I'm going to put that into, this should just go and click in, should be pretty easy. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to undo, I might just undo all the screws. Alright, I got that whole panel off. Unfortunately, this was replaced with like a tamper-proof bolt. It only screws on, so I'm either going to get vice grips or I'm going to get, just have to work on it for a little bit. Just want to get it loose. Now the locking tailgate was an aftermarket thing, so that's not stock or anything. So if you have a stock tailgate, you probably are just going to have bolts like this, which is 13 millimeter, and then what was holding this on were just these self-tapping shoulder bolts. So I'm going to work on this now. Alright, got it off. I didn't have any vice grips with me here, but you can see that it's one of those tamper-proof. It doesn't actually have the sides are shaved off where you would unscrew it from, but I was able to get it off. So now the whole mechanism should be loose. So the kit I got came with a new one of these, which as you can see, it sits in like this and then the top clicks in. So I use that so that I can come up in here and then there you go, now it's off. Alright, that was part of the battle. So now you can see that it's basically, it has to squeeze these two together. So looks like the plastic clip that holds that in is missing on this side, but it's there on that side. So basically you're just going to want to fold that down like that, and then there it goes, that pulled right out. Make sure you leave that sitting right there, you don't want to have to go in there fishing for it. There's the locking mechanism. Alright, so you gotta fiddle with this side for a little bit. I'm not sure if it's supposed to look like that or if somebody bent it like that. Doesn't make sense why it would look like that. I'm just gonna bend it back out the way the other one is. And now it comes off. So this is like a nice 90. This one was bent around it. I wonder if somebody previous to me is having a problem because this plastic clip isn't there. So, and the plastic clip looks like is what retains it. Luckily on the new one, it has both plastic clips. So hopefully this just goes back in. So I'm going to try the top two bolts, and then I might leave the bottom one out since it has this tamper-proof one, but I might just put it back in. We'll see how it feels. So just going to line that up and then push that into the hole. I don't know, maybe it'd be easier if the handle was bolted in, so I'm going to try to just loosely bolt it in to see. Alright, so those are just snug to the hand. And I'm going to see if that gives me the proper leverage to shove this in there. Well, I got it in there. It's really tight though. Like extremely tight. It works though. Bend this plastic thing around. They almost don't feel the right size, but I got it in there. Now that plastic thing doesn't want to twist around to lock on. I was able to shove it through with the pliers. Now let's see if these, I need smaller pliers. There it goes. Alright, it's unlocking the one side now. It's kind of a pain. Alright. See how well we can do the other side. Oh. This other side slid in a lot easier. The all bent up side slid in easier. There it goes. Alright. It was quite the pain. So, finally got it around it. And around that one. Alright. Let's see. There you go. Alright. Alright, so the new one of these has these little foam deals. I think it's so it stopped rattling. Let's see. Yeah, they got a little sticky on them. Alright. So there's these two little pegs. You probably want to get them in those holes. Alright, she's all locked in. Now, you just got to press the top in. Couple nice hits. Still works. Alright, that's pretty sweet. I'm going to use that one just to hold everything in place so that when I'm because I got to take these back out to put on the back piece again, so I guess I'm just going to reuse it, maybe not go crazy tight with it. So if I got to get this thing back off in the future, it's possible. I don't know. I think it's a different thread. Sweet. Yeah, it's a different thread. Alright, we ain't doing that. I guess we're just going to have to see. Okay, so this part is all done. These did give me a little bit of trouble, but figured it out. So, there you go. Alright, so now we're going to figure out this part right here. Okay, so right here used to be this flat panel, and this passenger airbag button used to be right like that, pretty much. So I've never turned it off, so I'm hoping that this guy, which I found for supposedly same model year, I'm hoping that it'll fit there, but we'll see. Alright, so it's gonna be just some shoving it, and then looks like so far so good. Looks like the top mount is going to be broken, but now that could have been broken in the break-in or what, I'm not sure. But so I guess it would have been more like this, but now it's going to be a little floppy, but I think that's fine. I mean, this is not a show truck or anything like that. It's just I wouldn't say a beater, but it's just a good truck. So update from the last video, I went and got it smogged because I had to change the battery and all that and reset the computer. Didn't realize I didn't drive it long enough, so I had to drive it about 30 miles, and then the smog guy said the computer's done doing its thing, and and then he was able to approve the smog. So this definitely approved its smog check, because I'm here in California. I think the next video is going to be a pressure wash of the truck, so that should be fun. But thanks for watching.